Joe, does it feel like it takes forever for things to change sometimes? You think it takes a long time for things to change? Like, do you think it took a long time for you to feel better after your surgery? And sometimes you still don't feel better, right? You're still hurting sometimes. Because you still have muscle spasms from your CP. But does it feel like you're not getting anywhere sometimes? Touch my hand. Yeah. Hey guys, Transition Tuesday. I'm Jane. This is Joe. Today we're talking about Never Never Land. And I'm not talking about the Peter Pan version. I'm talking about when you experience a lack of progress, or when you're dealing with a recurring or reoccurring chronic issue, or when there's regression, or when you're just plain overwhelmed and you feel like nothing is ever going to change, we're not making any progress. You know, it's winter, and I think that's kind of a thing that happens to us in the winter time, where the days are short and it's dark and you have to go out there and scrape your windshield, or you know, it's just rainy and cold and snowy and cold and the weather's bad, and it just feels like you're stuck. So we've talked about this before. It's personal. Every person with a disability experiences it in his or her own way. Every person with spastic quad CP who is nonverbal, like Joe, is different. There's some similarities, but Joe's response, Joe's personality, Joe's level of challenge is individual to him. There's only one Joe. We always say that. There's only one you. But the thing is, while we're all individuals, we have to work within systems which group people into categories of service level, category of income, category of gender, race, disability, diagnoses. So we're individuals struggling within these systems that can't really compensate for our individuality. And that leads to some of this overwhelm and struggle that I'm talking about. So here are some places and some ideas on what you can do when you feel like you're stuck in Never Never Land. At school, it's the middle of the year. We just came back from holiday break. If your child is struggling in school, ask for a mid-year conference. Whether they have an individual education plan or an IEP because they get disability services at school, or a 504, which is accommodations for a person with a disability who doesn't need maybe the level of support. Or if your child isn't in any special ed classes, they're straight mainstream, and maybe they have some accommodations, maybe they don't, but they're struggling because they got behind during the COVID quarantines and the school shutdowns. Ask for a mid-year conference. Maybe there's things that are working at school that you aren't aware of. So talk to the teacher, talk to your child's teachers, see, where is my child right now compared to, the beginning of the year, compared to last year, compared to before COVID? Where are they? Maybe it's not as bad as you think it is, or if it is, if it's bad or worse, then what's the plan to get back on track? You don't have to carry this burden by yourself, and you need to model for your child, or I don't say you need to. It's a good idea to model for your child problem-solving skills. Okay, so you got a C in math at the beginning of the year. This last report card, you're failing. So what can I do as your parent to help you? I sure can't help you take those tests, but I can help you figure out what's going on. I can talk to your teacher. And if your child says, "Oh, I don't want you to do that," sometimes you got to be the boss. Have that mid-year planning meeting. Talk to your child's doctor. Maybe there are some underlying things that are happening with your child's disability, new symptoms. Maybe there's some medication changes that need to happen. Your child grows, their hormones change, the medications work differently. Maybe there's some issues around focus, or maybe your child's hurting, or maybe there's a new problem. Maybe there's a dental issue going on. Talk to your child's doctor. See if they can help you problem solve. They're diagnosticians. They know how to take the evidence of what's going on and figure out some things to try. Ask another parent. A parent of a classmate, or another parent that you trust, a friend, and say, "Hey, we're just getting nowhere at school. What do you suggest?" What if you're having these issues with your community? Whether that's a group of friends, an organization, just your town that you live in, make a map. What things do you use in your community? Grocery store, post office, departments, regular store. Most of the time everything's all in the same store. Recreational opportunities, parks. Oh, my dog just brought me her toy to play with. You can't see her. She doesn't care about Neverland. She lives in the moment. So make a map. Look at what is here. What am I missing? What am I missing? Why do I feel isolated from my community? Why am I frustrated at where I live? Look at, pretend you're Google. Draw back, put little place markers, and look and see, oh, maybe there's more here than I thought, or maybe there's a piece missing that I would like to be here. So what can we do? Maybe we've never been to the library. We don't have a library card. Maybe we'll go to the library. See if we can find some books on the subject that, on how to help your child with math. You're tying everything together. Make a map. Take a break. It's winter. Nobody wants to go out as much. Maybe just don't be as, don't make pressure. Don't pressure yourself to be active in things if you really just want to stay home and binge Netflix shows. It's okay. There's no police that's going to come after you and say, you haven't been out. So just think about that. Look inside. See what's going on. Sometimes Joe likes to be social and sometimes he doesn't. So he's, communicating to me when he wants to go out and when he doesn't. And when he doesn't, that's fine. And when he does, awesome. Church. This is a real place of struggle for many families of children with disabilities and family members with disabilities that I know, particularly if your person has behavior challenges, this is a real struggle. Are there other families in your church group, congregation who have a child with a disability? Maybe you could connect with them and create a Bible study group or some connection with those people so that you don't feel stuck and isolated, unwanted, or underserved. Have you ever talked about your struggles? Maybe the pastor or priest or rabbi or spiritual leader at your church doesn't know that you feel the way you do, that you feel unwelcome, that you feel like people are staring at your child with disdain or fear, or maybe your child doesn't like to go because in the nursery he doesn't or she doesn't feel like they fit in, or maybe they don't know how to take care of your child and you experience that, you can see that. What are some of those problems? Now, when you're stuck, you may not feel like taking all that on. So take a piece. Just go talk to someone. Take a piece of it. You don't have to solve the problem, but you can't fix the problem if you don't do anything about it. That's just the truth. Job. Consider talking to your HR person. Are you struggling? Are you struggling to do your job because of your disability? Well, you might need to bite the bullet and talk to your HR person. The problem with Never Never Land and being stuck is that you can't fix things in a vacuum. You may want to self-isolate and just hibernate because it's wintertime. But if you really want to solve this problem, if it's part of your grand transition plan, if your child is struggling at a job and it's their first job and you want them to be successful, but it's not going well, you might have to help them take some steps to make it better. And HR people, they know the rules. They know, maybe that can help, maybe not. Pros and cons list. What's good about your job? What's not good about your job? Looking at that list may help you see some places where there might be a way to change some of those things. Or it may be that the job isn't a good fit for you. And maybe it's time for a change. Maybe your job is Never Never Land and you need to get to, heaven. You want to go work where you feel like you're in heaven. Who doesn't? Social contacts and work friends. One of the leading reasons people express job dissatisfaction is because they don't have connections in their workplace. When you have work friends or you have a network of coworkers that you work well with, you will have more job satisfaction. It's research. So look at that. Like you were going to do a community map for your community, maybe do a community map of your network of friends and coworkers to see how you feel about it. Is teleworking your jam? Maybe you don't need to be in an office or on site. Maybe you need to find a job where you can telework. Many people in COVID, in the COVID quarantine world, realized that working from home, that teleworking was the best option for them. It fit their lifestyle. It fit, like, you don't have to pay for a car if you don't need one. I mean, there were a lot of things that some people discovered. Many of my friends and my daughter, for example, realized that teleworking is her jam. That is the best way for her to do her job. And she found that her level of productivity went up because of whatever reason. I mean, it's an individual thing. So these are the areas where you could feel like Never Never Land is your world and you don't want to be there anymore. That's part of it too. When you're stuck, sometimes you're okay with being stuck. I get there. I totally get there. Joe's had some recurring health problems that have made me absolutely frustrated beyond what I can even tell you. And I have to have my little wallow, my little pity party, but then I start getting tired of that and I start looking for ways to get unstuck. And so I'm using strategies, or I'm sharing strategies with you that I use myself. And sometimes some work and some that I think are gonna work don't work. I mean, it's just really trial and error to get that ticket out of Never Never Land. So let's talk about life. Look at your world. So I did this sign crazy on purpose because our lives can be really crazy and overwhelming. But here are some things that can emerge from that crazy. Remember, there's an ebb and flow. So remember, I was talking about you want to hibernate. So maybe you need to hibernate and then you're not going to hibernate anymore. There's an ebb and flow. Maybe this chronic issue, like a pain issue or a recurring health problem, it gets worse and then it gets better. Everything changes. Everything's changing around us all the time. So just remember that. Okay, everything's changing. It's not going to be this way forever. That's like a mantra. This too shall pass. It may seem bad now. Think back to another struggle and realize, well, you know what? We struggled with that, but my child isn't doing that anymore. Sucking their thumb. My child sucks her thumb. She's 15. She sucks her thumb. You tried some strategies. Eventually, she stopped sucking her thumb. Find the good. Find the things that you did when your child was struggling because somebody made fun of her for sucking her thumb at school, and you worked it out. Remember that. That may have been 5 years ago. Remember that. You did it. You got through it. You can do it again. Things are changing. There's an ebb and flow. Take a minute to dream. What do I want my life to be? You know, what is my next? I want to live in Wonderland. I don't want to live in Never Never Land. Dream about what Wonderland looks like. And then breathe. Take a couple of deep breaths. We did it last week. I hope it helped you. I hope you did the breaths with us. Take a couple of deep breaths. I am teaching myself to take a deep breath before I have to talk to somebody that I'm anxious about having a conversation with, before I have to do a task that I don't like, before I have to make a phone call I don't want to make. I am practicing taking a few deep breaths. So I hope your visit to Never Never Land is a short one. I hope you are taking care of yourself and your family and your loved ones and the people you care about. And we will see you next time.